AITA for cutting ties after my family hid my brother's affair with my fiancée. I am 30 years old, a man, and I work as a fraud investigator and anti-money laundering analyst at a major bank where I handle money laundering cases and investigate fraudulent transactions across the tri-state area. That particular Thursday, a vendor fraud case I had been working on for 3 weeks resolved itself when the suspect's own accounting records were revealed during the discovery phase. I closed the file at 2 in the afternoon. My manager approved the report, and I thought I would buy those ridiculously expensive candles Courtney kept talking about. The one from that shop on 5th Avenue, she slowed down for every time we walked by. $38 for something that smelled like vanilla and burned out in 20 hours. But she wanted them, and I wanted to see her smile. The engagement ring had cost me 4 months of savings. The wedding venue, the photographer, the caterer, the florist, the honeymoon deposit. I had already invested nearly $18,000 in a future that seemed worth every penny. For years of my life, all my plans, all my dreams. My brother Travis's pickup truck was in the driveway when I arrived. Nothing unusual. He had been sleeping in our guest room since January after being fired from his job as a salesman at a car dealership. Apparently, he was not meeting his targets. Well, according to him, it was more about a jealous manager and unfair expectations. I had not pushed to know more because it did not matter. He was my brother. He needed help. I gave him a roof, meals, no pressure on time. That is what brothers do. The house was quiet when I walked in. Too quiet for 2 people being there. Travis's shoes were by the door, his jacket on the coat rack, Courtney's purse on the kitchen counter as always, but no television, no music, no voices. Then I heard it coming from the upstairs master bedroom. Unmistakable sounds that left no doubt about what was happening inside. Here is the thing about those kinds of moments. In real life, you do not kick down doors throwing punches. In real life, your brain becomes strangely calm because falling apart gives you no advantage. It just turns you into the villain in the story the others will tell later. I went upstairs, each step measured. My heart was pounding, but my hands were steady. The bedroom door was cracked open. He had not even bothered to close it completely. Why would he have? I was not supposed to be home for another 6 hours. I pushed the door, and there they were, together in our bed. Travis pulled away from her so fast, he almost fell off the bed. Courtney grabbed the sheet. My bed, my sheets, the headboard I had spent 2 weekends putting together because the instructions were complicated and half the parts did not fit right. Parker, she started. How long? My voice was flat, controlled. They looked at each other. Even then, even caught in the act, they had their own silent language. That is when I knew this was not new. It was not a moment of weakness. It was not a mistake. It was a habit. How long, Courtney? She was crying real tears now. 6 months. 6 months, half a year. That meant it started right after Travis moved in, right after I opened my home to him because he had nowhere else to go. Right after I told him to take all the time he needed to get back on his feet. I did the math automatically. 6 months of dinners I had cooked for the 3 of us. 6 months of mortgage payments for a house they used as their private space. 6 months of wedding planning, venue tours, cake tastings, invitations we had perfected, vows I had written and rewritten to make them perfect. 6 months of looking her in the eyes every night believing she loved me. I turned around and left, just left, walked down the stairs, past the kitchen where I had made them breakfast that morning, past the living room where we watched movies as a family, out to my car. I drove to the parking lot behind the public library and sat there for 2 hours, phone on silent, thinking about the logistics of my collapsing life. Then I got to work. First, I opened our joint banking app. 3 accounts, checking, savings, emergency fund. Total balance $23,847. Half belonged to me. I transferred exactly $11,923.50 to my personal account that Courtney did not have access to, not a penny more. I was not trying to take anything from her. I was protecting what was mine. Then I took screenshots. 6 months of transaction history. Every dinner I had paid for while she was involved with my brother. Every grocery run they both enjoyed. Every bill that kept the lights on in the house where they betrayed me. Next, I checked our shared cloud account, the one I had set up when we moved in together. All our devices had been synced for years. Her notes app was there. I found what I was looking for in under 10 minutes. A note titled T with a heart emoji. Entries dated back to January 14th. January 14th finally happened. It felt wrong, but also right. P does not suspect a thing. January 28th, we have to be more careful. P almost came home early. February 12th, I told him I loved him. He said it back. March 3rd, P almost caught us today. March 22nd, T says we should tell P eventually. Not yet. Not until after the wedding. I captured everything. Her email was synced too. From the parking lot, I checked the messages between them. Nothing too explicit, but enough. I miss you already. Tonight was perfect. We need to be more careful. I am counting the minutes until P leaves for work. The wedding invitations had been sent out 2 weeks prior. 187 cream-colored envelopes with our names written in gold lettering. Parker and Courtney in a font she had spent 3 hours choosing. The photographer was booked. $2,800 half paid up front. The caterer, the DJ, the florist. Her dress was hanging in our closet in a garment bag that cost $300 just to preserve the fabric until the ceremony. I had written my vows 3 times, trying to make them perfect. They were still saved in my notes app. I had rehearsed them in the shower that morning while she was probably texting my brother about when they could see each other again. When I finished documenting everything, it was already past 7 in the evening. 43 missed calls from Courtney, Travis, and my mother, 16 voicemails, 81 text messages. I did not answer any of them. I drove to a Holiday Inn Express near the highway. I paid for a week in cash. The room smelled of industrial cleaner, recycled air, and other people's problems, but it had a solid deadbolt and nobody knew where I was. That was something. The family meeting took place on Sunday at my mother's house. She had called me from my sister Brooke's phone because I had already blocked everyone else. Parker, we need to talk about this like adults. 2 in the afternoon, everyone will be there. I should have said no. I should have hung up and blocked that number too. But some stupid part of me still thought blood meant something. I thought I would walk in and see them putting Travis's things outside, telling him and Courtney to leave and never come back. I thought my mother would hug me and tell me she was sorry, that she would always be on my side. I was an idiot. The living room was set up like an intervention when I arrived. My mother in her chair by the window, the one my dad bought her before he left. Brooke on the love seat, arms crossed. Already annoyed she had to sacrifice her Sunday for this. Travis and Courtney on the main sofa, sitting close enough for their shoulders to touch, looking tired, looking sad like the victims in their own version of the story. The only empty seat was a dining room chair that had been brought in from the kitchen, placed facing all of them as if I were on trial. I remained standing. Parker, sit down, my mother said. That voice, the one she used when I was 16 and came home past curfew, soft but firm, the voice that meant she had already decided who was wrong. I will stand. Why is she here? Because she is part of this family. Was going to be part of it. That is why we are having this discussion. Courtney started crying real, wet, perfectly timed tears. Parker, I am so sorry. I never wanted this to happen. Travis and I tried to fight it, really. But sometimes you do not choose who you fall in love with. I watched her play her part. The trembling lip, the tissue ready, the way she leaned toward Travis as if he were her lifeline. She had rehearsed this, probably spent the whole weekend perfecting her scene. We are in love, Travis said. His voice broke right on cue. I know the timing is awful and I know I made a mistake, but what Courtney and I have is real. We did not plan this. It just happened. It just happened, I repeated. For 6 months in my house, in my bed, while I was working to keep a roof over your head because you were incapable of keeping a job. Parker, do not be vulgar, Brooke threw in from the couch. Vulgar, that is what bothers you right now? My choice of words? My mother stood up and walked over to me, placed her hand on my arm with that soft, disappointed expression I knew from dozens of arguments I had never won. Sweetheart, I know you are hurting, anyone would be. But Travis is your brother, blood, family forgives. And if Courtney and Travis have real feelings for each other, true genuine feelings, maybe it is better that it happened now before the wedding, before you made an irreversible mistake. I stared at her. This was the woman who called me her rock, her reliable son, the one who was always there, the one who fixed everything, the one who supported her for 8 months after my dad left by letting her live rent-free in my guest room. The one who co-signed her car loan because her credit was bad. The one who called every Sunday without fail. You are taking their side. There are no sides, Parker. We are all family. You are taking their side. Travis feels terrible, Brooke chimed in, leaning forward. They both feel terrible. It was eating them up inside. They did not want to hurt you. They were going to tell you even after the wedding. After the wedding, I laughed. A harsh, broken laugh. So the plan was to let me marry her, go on a honeymoon with her, build a life, and then what? Surprise, your wife has been involved with your brother the whole time? It is not like that, Courtney started. That is exactly what you just said. You were going to wait until after the wedding. We were lost. We did not know what to do. You knew exactly what to do. You did it for 6 months in my bed. At every opportunity. You are being dramatic, Courtney said. And something in her voice changed. Harder now. She was testing something else. She realized the tears were not working. It is not like we planned to betray you. It just happened. Feelings change, Parker. That is life. That is how relationships work. Sometimes your feelings change for my brother while you were wearing my ring. Maybe the ring was a mistake. Maybe we moved too fast. Maybe if you had paid more attention to me instead of working all the time. There it is, my fault. Of course it was my fault. Okay, wait a second. This is me, the part that really turned my stomach. Not the affair, not even the family meeting. It was the exact moment when Courtney said, maybe if you had paid more attention to me instead of working all the time, and she said it in front of everyone. That tells you everything. Because what she just did was not defending herself. She was rewriting history in real time. Turning a man who was working to pay for her wedding, her venue, her photographer, and her dress into the villain of her own betrayal. And the scariest part, that kind of narrative works on people. People hear he worked all the time, and somewhere in their head they think, oh, okay, I kind of get it. It is manipulation disguised as vulnerability, and it is genuinely terrifying how easily it works. Now, back to the original poster. So it was my fault. I had brought this on by working too much, working to pay for the wedding she wanted, to save for the house she wanted, to build the future she claimed to want. I looked around the room one last time. My mother who had chosen her son who betrayed me over the one who was betrayed. My sister who called my reaction dramatic. My brother who had rewarded my kindness by being involved with my future wife in my own home for 6 months. Here is what is going to happen, I said in a quiet voice now, dangerously quiet. The quiet I use at work when I am reviewing evidence that is going to destroy someone's case. I am going to walk out of here, and you are all going to live with the choices you made today. And in about a week, everyone we know, every single person who received an invitation to this wedding is going to find out exactly what kind of people you are. What does that mean? My mother asked. Her voice tinged for the first time with real worry. It means consequences. Something this family seems to have forgotten. Parker, do not do anything stupid, Travis started. I have been doing something stupid for years. Trusting you. That ends today. I left. Nobody followed me. Nobody called to apologize. Nobody ran out to stop me, support me, or admit they were wrong. Yes, that told me everything. Monday morning, I started building my case as if I were investigating fraud because that is exactly what it was. Credit freeze with all 3 bureaus, new bank account at a different bank, new phone number. I secured all my accounts, changed all the passwords, removed Courtney from everything, and documented every step. Tuesday, I called my realtor to tell him to list the house within the week. While he was taking pictures, I had the locks changed. Wednesday, I drafted the official eviction notice for Travis. 30-day written notice. Sent certified mail with return receipt. Nothing emotional, nothing vindictive. Just legal terms about terminating a month-to-month verbal rental agreement and the obligation to vacate the premises. I added a line mentioning the possibility of a sheriff escort upon final departure if necessary. Wednesday night was wedding logistics. I called the venue and explained the situation without going into details. The wedding is canceled. I was the only name on the contract. Please confirm this in writing. They were understanding but firm. No deposit refund. I expected that. I just needed a paper trail. My total lost amount, about $8,400. A small price to pay to find out who someone really is. Wednesday night, Courtney showed up. I watched through the security camera app. Sitting in my car 3 blocks away, she knocked on the door for 10 minutes, yelled my name, tried her old key to no avail. She called me 16 times in a row while standing on the porch. Finally, she left, but not before kicking the door hard enough to leave a mark I would have to explain to potential buyers. Courtney sent me 17 messages asking when she could get her things. I told her Saturday between 2 in the afternoon and 4 in the afternoon under supervision. She could bring a friend if she wanted. I would have the non-emergency sheriff number ready for any issues. The house went on the market Thursday. Thursday also brought a near miss. I was gathering my last belongings when Travis's pickup pulled into the driveway. He must have been keeping an eye out for my car. Maybe Courtney had called him. Maybe they were still coordinating. He intercepted me on the porch, blocking the way. "Parker, we need to talk." "No, we do not. Just give me 5 minutes." "Let me explain." "There is nothing to explain. We are family. That is why we need to sort this out. I am here to apologize, to make things right." Something in the way he said it made me really look at him. His eyes were red. His hands were shaking slightly, unable to hold my gaze for more than a second. He was not sorry. He was scared. "What did Courtney tell you?" I asked. "What?" "About the wedding cancellation." His face went pale. That confirmed it all. She had called a vendor, probably the venue or the photographer, and learned the cancellation was already underway. Now he was panicking. "Parker, whatever you are thinking of doing, it is already done." I walked past him toward my car. "The emails go out Saturday at 9 in the morning. 187 guests plus the wedding party, plus extended families. You cannot do that. You will destroy us." "No, you destroyed this. I am just stating it." "And the money we lost?" I stopped at the door, turned around. "There is no more good old Travis. There is me, and there is you and Courtney. Sort out your own problems." "Parker, please, I am begging you." I got in the car. I started the engine, rolled down the window. You should have thought about the consequences 6 months ago. I drove away watching him shrink in the rearview mirror until I turned the corner. The emails went out Saturday morning at exactly 9 in the morning. I had scheduled them the night before from my hotel room. Triple-check the recipient list. Reread the message to make sure it was clean. Subject: cancellation of Parker and Courtney's wedding. The message was 4 paragraphs, factual, emotionless, no insults, no accusations I could not prove, just the truth. But I was not done. 30 minutes later, I sent a separate email to the wedding party, same factual tone, but with 1 extra line. "If you need verification or have questions regarding refunds, please contact Courtney and Travis directly." I pushed the responsibility right back where it belonged. I turned off my phone and went for a drive. 3 hours on roads I had never taken, through fields, farms, places where nobody knew my name, my family, or my story. When I turned my phone back on at sunset, 94 unread messages and 67 missed calls. The reactions fell into predictable camps. Support from the people who had known me the longest, neutral confusion from guests trying to figure out logistics, and crisis management attempts from my family demanding I retract everything. My mother's voicemail was particularly memorable. "Parker, what have you done? Everyone is calling me." "Everyone? How could you humiliate your brother like this?" I saved the voicemail, took screenshots of everything coming in via text, and added it to my files. The social consequences started in less than 48 hours. Courtney worked as a dental hygienist at a local clinic. The clinic owners were connected to my parents through mutual friends. By Monday afternoon, the owner had heard enough to call Courtney into his office. She was not fired. That would have been wrongful termination, but she was transferred to a branch 45 minutes away with reduced hours. Within 3 weeks, she quit. Travis had managed to land a sales job at another dealership a few weeks before the emails went out. Car sales rely on relationships. Referrals matter. Repeat customers matter. Reputation matters. When people spend $20,000 or $30,000 on a vehicle, they want to trust the person selling it to them. Word spread around the dealership about what he had done. Then it reached the customers. Customers who had bought from Travis before and planned to return started asking for other salespeople. Families who used to refer their relatives stopped. His customer flow dried up. His performance dropped by 60% in 6 weeks. Management put him on a performance improvement plan. When he did not improve, could not improve because that kind of reputation does not repair quickly, they fired him in the fall. None of this was directly my doing. Not technically. I simply told the truth once to the people who deserved to know why they would not be attending my wedding. Everything else was just gravity. The house sold in 11 days. An all-cash offer $8,000 below asking price from a young couple from out of state. I accepted immediately. The sale could close in 2 weeks, and I needed to leave. But before leaving, I still had some loose ends to tie up. I filed 2 lawsuits in small claims court. One against Travis for unpaid rent, 6 months of housing expenses at market value for the guest room, plus estimated utilities at $300 a month. Total $1,800. The second against Courtney for provable shared expenses she had committed to before the affair was revealed. Half the venue deposit, half the photographer, half the caterer. Clean documentation, joint bank statements, vendor contracts with both our names. Total $4,200. I filed both cases the same day. I paid for official process serving. They were served at their workplaces through legal channels. Courtney received hers at the dental clinic during her lunch break. Travis received his in the dealership showroom in front of customers. A publicly and legally delivered humiliation. The hearings were set for 2 months later. I did not care about winning, even though the evidence was solid enough. What mattered to me was the process, the certified letters, the awkward conversations when asked why they were being sued. The fact that their names were now in public records associated with unpaid rent and breach of agreement. Lasting consequences. My boss had told me about a position on the West Coast 9 months earlier, operations supervisor in Portland. Better title, better pay, better opportunities. I had turned it down because Courtney did not want to leave her family, did not want to move across the country, did not want to start all over again somewhere else. Ironic, right? I called my boss on a Thursday morning. Is that Portland position still available? Now it is Regional Operations Coordinator. Same office, expanded responsibilities. Why the interest? When do they need someone? Honestly, 2 weeks ago. They have been understaffed since February. I will be there in 3 weeks. Before I left, the harassment escalated. My aunt showed up at my hotel, then my cousin, then family friends I barely recognized. All with the same speech. Family forgives. Blood is thicker than water. Travis is hurting. Courtney is hurting. You have to let this go. I drafted a cease and desist letter. Not from a lawyer. I could not afford one. But I found a template online. I adapted it, printed it on professional letterhead I created myself. I cited harassment laws, listed every contact attempt with time and date, and sent it all via certified mail to my mother's address with instructions to forward it to anyone continuing to contact me. I added a line at the end. Any further unsolicited contact will result in a request for a restraining order and documentation of a harassment pattern with local law enforcement. It worked. The calls stopped. The move cost me almost everything I had left after selling the house. $1,700 for the moving truck. $800 in gas across the country. First month in deposit for a studio apartment I found online. When I finally got a bed and the bare essentials to cook, there was only $1,100 left in my account. But here nobody knew me. Nobody looked at me with pity. Nobody whispered when I walked by. Nobody talked to me about Courtney, Travis, or the wedding that never happened. I was anonymous, and it was exactly what I needed. Work was the only thing keeping me sane. I arrived early, left late, solved problems nobody else wanted to touch. In 8 months, I was promoted to operations manager with a 15% raise. I accepted it. Then I asked what I needed to do to get the next one. 13 months after arriving, I met Allison at a co-worker's birthday party. She was a vet tech at a clinic in Southeast Portland. The kind of person who spends her days caring for scared animals and worried owners. A quiet laugh, direct questions, a way of looking at you like she was genuinely listening instead of just waiting for her turn to speak. We talked for 3 hours about unimportant things, music, movies, the best hiking trails within an hour of the city, and whether pineapple belonged on pizza. Her stance? Absolutely not. And she was ready to fight over it. When I walked her to her car, she gave me her number without me asking. Our first real date was at a Thai restaurant in the Pearl District. She ordered the spiciest dish on the menu and did not even flinch when it arrived looking like it could melt the plate. Then she said, "So what is your story? Why did you move all the way across the country to Portland?" I could have lied. Given her the watered-down version. Fresh start, new opportunities, career growth. All of that was technically true, but completely meaningless. But I was done pretending. So I told her everything. The discovery, the family meeting, the email, the small claims court procedures, the move. I watched her face, looking for judgment, pity, or that familiar awkwardness that shows up when people find out your life fell apart. None of that appeared. When I finished, she reached across the table and squeezed my hand. They started trying to reel me back in around the 18th month. First came the messengers, old high school acquaintances, distant cousins, college social media friends, people I had not spoken to in years suddenly sliding into my direct messages with variations of the same speech. Your sister says you are not returning her calls. Do you not think it is time to move on? And Travis has been really struggling since everything happened. Then they played the health card. A message from my uncle on my mother's side from a number I had not thought to block. Your mother has been diagnosed with early-stage breast cancer. Treatable stage, but she is asking to see you. I know what happened was bad, but she is your mother, Parker. Okay. Wait a second, it is me again. I have to be honest with you all right now. That moment really made me sick to my stomach. Not because of Parker's reaction, but because of how familiar this tactic is. As soon as someone runs out of normal leverage, suddenly there is a health crisis. And mind you, the mother's diagnosis was real. Stage 1, treatable, real. I am not questioning that, but look closely at what happened. The mother did not call Parker himself. Brooke orchestrated it through an uncle whose number had not been blocked yet. That is not a mother reaching out to her son in a difficult time. That is a family executing a coordinated strategy, and the most disturbing truth is, it almost worked. Parker thought about it for 3 days. Because that is what happens when you still love people who keep hurting you. Every new thing they throw at you makes you feel like maybe this time it is the genuine moment, that this time it is real. It never is, and deep down you know it. But love makes you check every single time anyway. Now, back to the original poster. I sat with that for 3 days. I called Allison. We talked about it. We analyzed everything in detail. My mother had not contacted me directly. It was Brooke organizing everything through my uncle. As always, the family coordinating behind the scenes to manage me, manipulate me, get me back in line. I texted him back. Tell Mom I hope her treatment goes well. I am not coming back. His reply was brief. She will be devastated. I did not answer. My mother's treatment went well. I know because Brooke constantly posted about it on social media until I blocked her there too. Pictures of my mother smiling in her hospital bed. Captions about the family standing strong together through hardship. Not a single mention of the absent son. I was completely fine with that. Then Courtney found my new email address 20 months after I left. Parker, I know I am the last person you want to hear from. I know you probably hate me, and I deserve it. Travis and I broke up 8 months ago. It was a mistake. All of it. I threw away the best thing I ever had for someone incapable of committing when things got hard. I was stupid, selfish, and cruel, and I hurt you in an irreparable way. I am not asking for a second chance. I just wanted you to know that I understand what I lost. I hope you are happy somewhere. You deserve it. See, I read it twice. I noted the careful word choice, the implied victimhood, the shifting of blame onto Travis being incapable of committing, the attempt to frame herself as the one who had suffered. Then I blocked her email address. Too little, too late, and I did not need her guilt in my inbox. Things escalated around the 22nd month. A coworker told me that a woman matching Courtney's description was asking about me at a downtown spot. She claimed to be an old friend trying to reconnect. Wanted to know where I worked, where I lived, if I was seeing anyone. I alerted my building's security, installed code locks, changed my daily routines, different routes to work, different times for the gym, different grocery stores, and I started documenting everything in a folder on my computer just in case. 2 weeks later, an anonymous email arrived at my work address, sent to me and copied to my entire department, including my supervisor and 3 levels of management. You should all know that Parker is not who he claims to be. He is a manipulative and vindictive person who destroyed his own family and blamed it on others. He pushed his ex into a breakdown. He abandoned his sick mother. Do not trust what he says about his past or his character. No signature, no facts, just a vague smear attempt to change how people looked at me. I forwarded the email to Human Resources within the hour with a summary of the situation: ex, affair with my brother, family estrangement, ongoing harassment. I provided evidence, screenshots, timeline, a copy of the cease and desist letter already sent. Human Resources launched an investigation. The information technology department traced the email to an IP address linked to a coffee shop in the same city where Courtney now lived. They could not definitively prove it was her. Public Wi-Fi, no identifiable login, but the pattern was clear enough. I did not waste any time. I hired an online paralegal service, $180 for a professional cease and desist letter citing harassment laws and documenting the facts. I sent it certified mail to Courtney's current address, which I found in 20 minutes through public records. Then I filed a report with the local police. Not to press charges, I did not have enough evidence, but to create an official paper trail. So her name would be associated with harassment in a system just in case it got worse. I saved the report number in my file. The anonymous email stopped, but I added one last layer. I updated my will, my emergency contacts, and the beneficiaries on all my accounts. I put Allison's name on everything. Every trace of my old life erased. I also added a note to my employee file documenting the harassment and authorizing human resources to share the information with law enforcement if necessary. I was done looking back. 3 years to the day after I left, everything came together. Allison and I had been married for 6 months. A small ceremony, just friends and her family, people who had actually earned the right to be there. Our daughter Nora was 3 months old, born in May, with her mother's eyes and my stubborn refusal to sleep at normal hours. I had been promoted twice within the company, now regional director of operations. A corner office overlooking the Willamette River. A team of 14 people under my supervision. The salary did not make me rich, but it was enough for us to buy a house in a quiet neighborhood and stop worrying about every expense. The final piece of the puzzle fell into place because Courtney did not know when to stop. She had found a new job after leaving the dental hygienist clinic at a small practice in her hometown, trying to start fresh. What she did not know was that the practice owner was tied to the state dental board and that one of the members of the ethics committee was none other than Allison's uncle. It was not something I planned, not something I orchestrated. That is just how small professional worlds work. During Thanksgiving dinner at Allison's parents' house, her uncle mentioned they had to investigate a hygienist caught performing unauthorized searches in the state health information exchange system. All the searches were for one person, he said, a guy who lived in the state before moving to Oregon. She claimed she was just curious about an old acquaintance. But privacy laws do not care about curiosity. I almost dropped my fork. What was her name? He told me. It was Courtney. She was using her access to look up information on me through the health information exchange system, my current address, my employer, my insurance details. Everything was automatically logged because medical privacy laws require audit trails. The practice owner discovered the pattern during a routine check. No clinical justification, no treatment connection, just unauthorized access to protected health information. I asked him what the consequences would be. License suspension pending a full investigation. If the board determines she willfully violated privacy for personal reasons, she faces permanent revocation as well as potential civil lawsuits if the patient decides to take action. I was not going to press charges. I did not need to. The board had already launched its investigation. The logs spoke for themselves. Her own actions had created the evidence. I had filed a police report 2 years earlier, documented the harassment, sent a cease and desist, built a file showing this was not just isolated curiosity, but a repeated pattern. When the investigator asked for information, everything was ready, organized chronologically. Professional misconduct, privacy violation, documented harassment. She destroyed herself all on her own. I just kept the receipts. 3 weeks later, my phone rang. Unknown number. I answered out of habit. Parker, my mother's voice. Please, we need to talk. How did you get this number? Your cousin gave it to me. He did not know. Parker, please listen to me. I should have hung up, but something in her voice made me hesitate. She sounded tired, different from the woman who told me to forgive 3 years earlier. What do you want, Mom? Travis is falling apart. He lost his job again. He cannot keep a relationship. Courtney blames him for everything that happened to her career. They are both sinking, and I know you do not owe us anything. But he is still your brother. He still needs his family. He had a family. He had me, and he chose to be involved with my future wife for 6 months while I paid his way. We were all wrong. The way we handled that meeting, the things we said. You told me I was dramatic. You told me to forgive him. You chose him. I was wrong. Yes, Silence fell. 3 years of silence, and now this. I am not coming back, I finally said. I will not help Travis. I will not save Courtney from the consequences she created herself. I have a family now, a wife who chooses me every day, a daughter who needs me, people who genuinely want me. I understand, truly. More silence. I miss you, Parker, every day. I know, and I knew it, but knowing changes nothing. Missing me does not erase what happened. Take care, Mom. I hung up. Allison walked into the room, Nora on her hip. Who was that? My mother. Are you okay? I looked at my wife. My daughter reaching her little hands out to me with a toothless smile. The home we had built. The life we had earned. Yes, I said. I am okay. And I truly meant it. The final confrontation happened 4 months later. A professional conference back east. Impossible to avoid. My attendance was required. I made the mistake of stopping at a coffee shop I used to go to. Old habit. Travis was there. He looked terrible. 60 pounds heavier, none of it healthy. A blank, worn-out stare. 3 years of consequences etched on his face. He saw me before I could leave. He crossed the coffee shop in a few strides. Parker. Travis. You look good. Thanks. He fidgeted, nervous, just like on the porch that day. I have been trying to reach you for years. I just wanted to say, I know what you want to say. I read the letters. So you know I am sorry. I know I have said it before, but I really mean it. What I did was the worst thing I have done in my life, and I live with the consequences every day. Good. He blinked. Good. You should live with it. That is what consequences are. You make a choice, you live with it. We are still family. No, I said it without anger, without emotion. You stopped being my brother the day I found you in my bed with my future wife. The family meeting confirmed it. You all made your choice. I have changed. I am working on myself. Perfect. Go be a better person somewhere else. I do not need you in my life. I do not want you, and honestly, I do not even think about you anymore. His face crumbled. That moment when someone realizes it is not a bluff, that it is really over. And Mom, she is getting older. She chose you. Remember? I finished my coffee, put the empty cup down. Have a good life, Travis. I mean it, but far away from me. I walked out without looking back. The spring sun was warm on my face. My flight was leaving in 4 hours. Allison and Nora would be waiting for me at the airport. I got in the rental car and hit the road to the airport. 2,600 miles between me and my home. And tonight, I would be there. Comment. I've been thinking about this story a lot lately, and it really hit me how important it is to protect your own peace. When someone crosses a line that hurts you deeply, choosing to walk away isn't giving up, it's choosing yourself. I've learned that real kindness starts with being kind to yourself first, even when it feels hard. Setting clear boundaries is one of the most loving things you can do, both for yourself and the people around you. Healing doesn't happen overnight, but every small step you take toward a healthier life matters. Taking responsibility for your own happiness instead of waiting for others to change can transform everything. Sometimes the bravest thing is to build a new life far from the pain, surrounded by people who truly value you. I hope you take a moment today to think about where you might need to draw a line in your own relationships. Remember that you deserve relationships that bring you calm, not constant chaos. At the end of the day, choosing peace is the most powerful decision you can make for your future. If you like the stories, don't forget to leave a comment and support the channel by subscribing. See you in the upcoming stories.